Happy Sunday, boys and girls. My name is Jeffery Scott Mitchell, coming to you live on Memorex from the default location, alternate weekend route. I realized today, more so maybe than before, or earlier this season, why I stopped playing fantasy football. There's probably a deeper underlying issue with my personality, with who I am, with what I expect, what I will endure. Because, hey, I was there when fantasy football very first started. I was there. In fact, maybe 25 years ago, something like that. 95, even 30 years ago maybe. The first fantasy football league draft for Avacom International, our group. And some of them cats I think are still doing it after all these years. I fell out. I went and got another job. A lot of them kept still working at Avacom. And they kept doing it, but we were some gambling cats. We were some serious gamblers. We had pools, we had squares, we had pick'ems, basketball, football, NCAA tournament. It was to the point, I was the book. I was the company book, basically. Everybody knew me. Folks would come up to me, blah, 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 blah. You know, and I talked to them, figure it out. We look at the line. This was before the internet. This was before office pools and fantasy leagues went mainstream. Hell, nowadays, I remember when they started being online at ESPN, and before the NFL, endorsed them. When ESPN and Yahoo would have like one you could like log in and do. That felt like, I felt like a Dylan fan when he went electric. I was like, no, that's not how you do it. We had paper and pencil, and because we're in the office, so we had copy machines. We had the works, So it was easy to print up a bunch of copies of this, a bunch of copies of that. Most of the company was in on it, or they had to know we was doing it. So nobody said nothing. Then every now and then you see a few people get in the pools that, or squares or Super Bowl. And I used to run a lot of them. And you probably could say that I oversaw a bunch of them too. Even though I got to get my boy, Glenn Raposa, he was the commissioner of the Fantasy Football League. He's the first one that started our Fantasy Football League. And I remember Sunday morning, somebody knocking on my door, and I woke up, and he was standing there, all bright-eyed, had his clipboard and his magazines and his stats. He was ready. I was like, whoa, what is this? He said, it's the Fantasy Football League. Our draft was today. Because that was back before you do your drafts online and automatic. We all had to sit in a room and actually pick. So you had to do research, because we had to get magazines. It wasn't no, Googling or anything. It wasn't no, getting a list. And the damn sure wasn't no auto draft where you just, wake up one day and your lineup is there, fairly picked, and the computer picks out and distributes the players. So he was there, and he woke me up. I was like, oh, okay. I had quit drinking by then, so I wasn't hungover or nothing, but I still partied. I was still partying. So it might have been a Saturday night where I was like, ugh, That's back when we used to go to Acapulco's in Azusa and get down on a Friday night, Saturday night, or whatever. Safari bar, such places. But, so he woke me up. I was like, oh, it's today? So I went and got things together, I had a little whiteboard. The fellas came over, and I think I made some chili. Well, one year I made chili, because, it was just a bunch of guys getting together. Wasn't no women involved, so there wasn't no hosting or hostess at all. It wasn't no nothing. It's just a bunch of us get together, because these are just guys. These are just truly guys. They'd be happy with a Twinkie and a deli sandwich, one of those fast food little vending machine sandwiches. You know, and he wasn't thinking that way. And I, you know, had been, I ain't gonna say that I had been, you know, I was raised by women. So I knew how to host. I've seen it done before. So when I saw these people come over and I didn't have nothing, it felt weird. And I'm definitely not a host. Don't get me wrong. I am not that person. Oh my God. But even that felt weird. So, all right. So I think I made some chili one year, you know, just trying to spice it up. And then it was me who said, we should go to Vegas and do our draft. You know, everybody bought in, you know, and all the fellas got together and we ended up in Vegas in a hotel room. And I remember Doug had the worst luck in the draft. He would pick the card to get the last one every year, and I would pick the card to get the first one every year. That was back when I would pick pick all Steelers, because it's tough for me to do fantasy. That's what the whole thing is about, because I can't split my loyal or my devotion or my rooting or whatever you want to call it between two things. Like this Monday, okay, so somebody started a fantasy league at where I work at now. And where I work at now is the most non-sports place I've ever seen in my life. I've never seen any place or so many people who just weren't into sports at all. I mean, there's no pools, no nothing. Not even sports talk. You know, I think what my buddy is a Seattle fan, and a couple of people came on later, Rams fan. You know, so you know, there's a little bit of talk, you know, but for the most part, no sports. So he went ahead and he started a little fantasy league, you know, because it's all online. All you do is like sign up, Yahoo account, boom, 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 and you know, pretty much does, you know, a lot of the work for you. And so we got a bunch of people, try to get a bunch of people in it. People, you know, they didn't want to get in it, they didn't know. And I get it, you know. There's one guy in it now who, you know, he don't want to spend the time to figure it out. He don't know nothing about it. He said we bamboozled him to get in it, and we probably did. So he don't even maintenance his team. His team just sitting there. Half his players ain't playing. He ain't updating his roster or nothing, his starting lineup. And he's winning right now. He's beating somebody right now, and he ain't even paying attention. He's like 0-6, and he in the lead right now. Through this week. Because if you don't know what fantasy is you end up with a team. Either it's auto-drafted for you, or you get a set of players on your team, a quarterback, usually 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, a defensive kicker, and a tight end or something like that. And whatever points they score in their games that week goes on to your team. So say like today I picked Jordan Love. I think he threw 1 touchdown and had a few yards, but he got hurt and went out, so he only scored 6 points. I had Mahomes on my team. I benched him because he wasn't doing good. Him and Kelsey ain't kicked it on yet. So I think he threw 2 touchdowns. So I would get 6 points for him. I get 6 points for each touchdown he threw. You know, running backs, you get 6 points for every touchdown they score. And you get like 1 point for every 10 yards that they rush. And then everybody accumulates points. And so right now, after the first set of games, after the Sunday games, Thursday and Sunday games, I'm 0.35. I'm 0.35 points behind my opponent, the person I'm playing. Literally 0.35. It's like 185 to 101.35. So I guess that might be 1 point something. You know, I might be 1.35 points. And I still have my defense to play. My defense and my kicker plays. So, you know, every time my kicker kicks a field goal, I get points. Every time the defense gets a sack or interception, I get points. But here's the kicker. Here's the kicker. Now, like I said, it's hard for me to do this. And one of the reasons I quit, because it was hard for me to split my devotion or who I root for or my focus. Because coming up Monday, I'm like, you know, like a point behind or something. And I got Pittsburgh's defense and Pittsburgh kicker playing. The only person he has playing is George Pickens, our top receiver. So now I got to watch this goddamn game. Not sure if I'm hoping or not hoping George Pickens scores or not. Because I do want to win. Even though I know the Steelers winning is, there's nothing that comes before that. Nothing above that. But it's still hard for me to have mixed feelings. I don't like mixed feelings. I don't like mixed feelings. That's the one way to put it. I don't know what the word is. What is it? My devotion, my rooting, my energy. What is it when you like root for something or you pull for something? It's hard for me to, who you gonna cheer for? What's the word when a parent is in the stands and both their kids are playing? They're rooting for whatever. Who you cheering, whatever, It's hard for me to do that, and that's why I quit. It's like, I can't do this. And I kind of think of it that way with my music and my art. I don't like doing things the way other people want them. I don't like compromise. I never did. I never liked compromise. I want to do it my way or not at all. And I'm cool with not doing it, not at all. So if I'm doing music or something, and I see musicians out there, and they say they gotta go quote unquote, play this bullshit. They gotta go play this bullshit music to get paid. I don't know if I can compromise on that. When it comes to my music and my football team and certain other things, my philosophy, you gotta say something. You gotta go beep or something. See how people just be riding by you? Ain't supposed to be on the sidewalk anyway. That aggravates me. Need a PSA for that. See, did y'all see that? So now I gotta know if I'm rooting for George Pickens. I want him to score a touchdown. I want Pittsburgh to win, but I gotta kind of like root against them or root for them. And I don't like that. I don't like that. I don't want to be compromised like that. And I don't do it with my music. I try not to put myself in a position to do that. And in times that I have, it's easier for me just to disconnect. Like if I've done production work for people, in the limited capacity that I have helping people out, because I know a little bit of video, I know about this, about that, help people out, I just totally disengage from it. I don't go full in. I don't go all in. I can't go all in because it's not mine. I gotta gauge how committed or how much, whatever the word is, that you do. That you all in or whatever the word is, my commitment to it or whatever. Because it's not mine. And I can see someone say, oh my God, we should do it this way. This is the way you want to do it. And it's their project and say, no, I want to do it that way. And it can be something that I'm just like, not totally against, but I think it just doesn't work and it just goes against the way I would do it and everything. You got to disengage. And I don't usually put myself in that position. And so now, come Monday, I'm gonna have to root for and against George Pickens. Another thing today too, as a side note, I dropped Dak Prescott because he wasn't giving me numbers, and I picked up dogs and leashes. Homeless people be walking around without their dogs on leashes, talking to their dogs like their dogs is human beings and understand and all that. Ain't the point. It's a law. So, what was I saying before I was so distracted by somebody's dog walking up on me? I wasn't worried about the dog biting me or nothing. I don't like people's dogs walking up on me. Everybody here love dogs. Good, you can love them. I don't hate them. Just keep your damn dog away from me. You love him. Oh, he's just cute. No, yeah, okay, he is cute, but still get him away from me. It's not. I'm not obligated to like your dog. I'm not obligated to treat your dog nice. Keep your damn dog away from me. I ain't obligated to treat you nice. You stay the hell away from me too. Now I'm joking, but I'm not. There's boundaries, people. There's boundaries. So where was I? So now I gotta root for and kind of against George Pickens because I still want to win. You know, I still want to win this fantasy league. I want to, you know, I want to be that guy. I bought, you know, because since this was like the first time I've ever done anything like this at this job, anything this sports-minded, anything remotely close. Like I said, it wasn't no pools, it wasn't no pick'em, wasn't no squares, nothing in the whole 10 years I've been there. It's like the first thing ever. And in my other job at Avacon, I was the man. Like I said, I was the man to the point that I wasn't running everything, but I was the go-to as far as gambling. If you needed to know something about gambling, you wanted something to go down, people would come to me. And I was just, you know, I was just that guy. I had the personality and everything. It was to the point that where at break time, it even escalated to the point we'd had this little gambling thing where at break time, we would go back, I would flip a coin and people would bet heads or tails. And I'd be the house, basically. I'd be heads or tails. How much? 20 heads? You 5 tails. Boom, boom, boom. You know, sometimes I go one-on-one. Sometimes I go, you know, people bet against each other, you know. Because flipping, we used to call it flipping. I used to flip with I started flipping with the lunch truck guy. And we would flip for breakfast. If I won, I get a free breakfast. If I lost, I pay double. One time I had him up to $30 or $40. He came in the company trying to get his money, calling me back. Come on. He was calling me back outside. I said, man, I'm working, dog. Come on, man. You know, I owe him some money, you know, but it just escalated to that. This was back when we passed the dinner before we moved to Glendora, when the lunch truck used to come. And then, so we would do that, we call flipping. And we go out at Glendora, in the back 15 minutes, people be out there get their money on $5 tails, $5 heads, tails. Flip, 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 boom, boom, boom. You know, I'm handling it. I'm doing the math in my head. You know, I'm remembering who did what, who bet what, I'm handling it. And it even got to the point where people was coming, I was loan sharking. I was loaning people money. And I would tell them, I say, look, I'm gonna loan you this money, but this is gonna be at an outrageous interest rate. Like 1.5 or something. It was just something crazy. Because I don't want to do this and I don't want you coming back doing it. I would like say, I give you 100, you gotta give me 150 next week. Something just ridiculous. And I told him, I said, you know, cause, you know, I'll do it, but you know, this is the terms. Cause I don't really want to do it. And I really don't want you doing it. I don't want to be that guy, but you know, at this rate, so I was actually loaning money and everything. And then come to this, you know, over the years being a contractor, if you're a contractor, you're usually not there long enough, you know, to do anything. But, oh yeah, but at the Army Corps, woo, me and Raj, woo. And come to think about it, I used to flip for burritos at Avacon. When me and Raj used to gamble, we used to talk openly over the cubicles. We couldn't just talk about gambling. So they caught us. So we would say, all right, how many burritos? How many burritos you want to put on Philadelphia? What's the spread? +3 minus, okay, 4 burritos. A burrito was $5. There we had a good thing going too. He would run the pool. He would have the cards. We'd get the cards. And I remember back then, it was you get paid 6 to 1. You get paid 6 to 1 if you on a 3-team parlay. Now, hell, 3-team parlays at DraftKings, you get paid way less than that. You know, you get like paid 6 to 1 on a 3-team parlay. DraftKings now, these pro player props or whatever, the odds is like really low. Really low. I just noticed that because, you know, even though I can't do it, I know somebody who lives in a state where they can do it. And they, you know, I phoned in my bet and blah, 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 blah. But, yeah, we used to do all that. I used to run that in me and Raj at the Army Corps for a bunch of years. And I still got some of those sheets too. I still got some of those sheets that we had to bet, you know, every week. Because we're in a pool, whoever had the most wins and all this. I had all that. I still got some of that stuff in storage, you know. So, I mean, it goes back, and then like this job, and then being a contractor, usually not there long enough or know people good enough to get in on the to get on the on the inside to actually better gamble, because it's not really legal, and you're a contractor, you're trying to be on your best behavior, you ain't trying to do nothing wrong, trying to maybe get hired, so you don't really want to step out of the bounds of anything. And plus, they don't know you. They don't know how long you're gonna be there. You end up getting in debt or owing money. Next thing you know, you're gone. Blah blah. So when I finally got a job permanent, this one, nothing, no sports gambling. So we got it going, and I was so excited when he started the pool that I went and bought a trophy. I went online and had a little bullshit custom-made trophy made for our league. Whoever the champion, whoever wins, or something like that. Because I'm excited, so I'm into it. I want to win it. I want to win it, even though it's not the most astute people playing. Most of them don't care. Most of them be having players that ain't, having their roster not filled out right. Like they look down their roster, like some of their team ain't even playing that day. A couple of dudes got players starting who the players died 3 years ago, and all kinds of stuff like that. But there's a few of us in there who, go for it. And on a real fantasy league, you invest some money. They take it seriously, and there's a good payout at the end. There's some money involved, some serious, not serious money, but some real money. It's a real investment. This one, I think we decided on $20. I'm not sure who decided who gonna pay and who not. It's like one of those, like, oh well, you just gotta, it's not taken seriously. It's like nobody gonna go break your legs if you don't pay, or, it's just, and I usually stay away from that kind of stuff because I'm all in. I'm all in. If we gonna do this, we gonna do this. It ain't no, I decided not to. No, the fuck you didn't. You signed up for this. Put your $20 down. You said you wanted it. No, I decided, no, ain't no, you decided nothing. And so I learned, that a lot of this is me, and I gotta step away. It's you. Most of humanity does not operate like this. Most of humanity, look at this. See, this is one thing. It's one thing about homelessness. It's one thing about the unhoused and all that. But when you start getting stuff like this, you start seeing that kind of garbage laying around. Those amounts of garbage and debris. It's one thing for people to allow you to live on the streets, or like to live, wherever. But it's another thing for you just to be nasty, about it. But sometimes you see people actually sweeping their dirt, trying to keep their spot clean. And then other times you see people setting shit on fire. Like they just try to burn this up, So, but I do have to realize that, there's a lot of mental health issues going on here. And it's not so much you can expect. It's only so much you can expect, because a lot of these people ain't choosing to be out here, and a lot of people ain't got the capacity to not be out here. Don't know how to, go about taking advantage of free services or free shelters and all that because of the mental capacity or the mental disabilities or the mental whatever. So it's kind of hard to say, well, it's not hard to say. I can understand why you see a bunch of garbage and stuff laying around, and, sometimes you see some creative stuff. Sometimes you see some gross, nasty stuff. It's never a dull moment, that's for sure. But anyway, so if you're gonna do it, you're gonna do it. If you ain't, you ain't. Just got a person I am. Like if I say we leaving at 4 o'clock, guess what time we leaving? I give you one guess. 3:55. If I say we leaving at 4 o'clock, your ass best to be at my house by 3:55. Knocking on the door. Ain't no 402, ain't no 401. If you at 4 minute. If you have 4 and 30 seconds, you late. I think my cousin said, if you ain't early, you late. If you ain't early, you late, and I like that. Like if I say I'm gonna be there at 4, I'm knocking at your door 3:45. I'm ready to go, because that's the time we agreed on. In fact, the last time I went to a game with somebody, and I said I want to leave it this time, and they was late. They was late by a lot. You know, I was like, okay, deep breaths, Jeffrey. You know, it'll be okay. It'll be okay. Deep breaths. But you'll never do this again. You'll never do this again with them, or you'll never do it again, period. Nope. It's me. I can't, I'm not gonna put myself through that no more. I'm not accommodating and compromise. I'm not that understanding. Nope. Nope, 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 nope. That's why I do things by myself in my own time, and rarely, if not ever, rarely, and more like never am I late. Never am I late. One time, I was late. Something happened and I mistimed it, or I misjudged it, and I didn't get to the Steeler game. It was a Steeler playoff game too against Jacksonville, till like the middle of the first quarter. And we was down 21-0 by the time I walked in the stadium and got to my seat. I'm like driving, and I'm still on the freeway, and the game started. I was mad because I just mistimed. I misjudged everything. I misjudged the time to get there. When I left, I was like, you know, kind of not goofing off, but I was just kind of, you know, not as urgently getting there. That happened once, it didn't happen again. I like to get, my idea is to be at the stadium when the doors open. My idea is to be at the stadium when the doors open. Last time me and Rick went, we were standing there, doors open at 11, stadium open at 11, 10:30 a.m. We on the stadium grounds. We in line. That's in the game. We get in there in 2 hours. At 11, game don't start till 1. So I walk around and eat, cool out, sit, chill. You know, we had VIP. So we got free food and drinks, nice little sitting area. You know, just take my time. I get to go out there and see Tomlin, then walk on the field, watch the players come out, warm up, you know, have the whole section to myself and just be able to spread out, just walk around and feel it, feel the stadium, and just vibe like that. And I remember 1995, 1996, Super Bowl, Pittsburgh against Dallas. They played in Phoenix. I was working at Avacon. I got a ticket to the game, $1,500, I remember. Drove down to Phoenix to the game, and it was the first time I went someplace by myself. It was the first time I went by myself, because like back in that time, 95, whatever, I always had a girlfriend or a partner, whatever you want. I always had a girlfriend, you know, hanging out, whatever. Always did things, you know, and it was fun. You know, I didn't put it down. You know, it was fun, but there was always something limiting about it that I noticed. You know, me and Andre used to go. She was just real fun. We were just like real good friends, real good everything. It was just complete freedom with her. She's probably the most freedom I could have with another person. She's probably the most freedom I had with any other person, because we could just be ourselves, 100%. You know, she was accommodating. She was a good passenger, you know, navigator. You know, I was back before Google Maps, so everything had to be done on paper, and she'd cook, and we had food, picnic baskets, and stuff laid out, and plans, and she was a good administrator. And we just go hang out and just have a good time, you know. But one time we was talking on the phone or whatever. The night before I was gonna we was gonna leave for the Super Bowl. And, you know, and she, something, you know, talk, you know, you mess with me, things, you know, I'm gonna say something eventually or something. And so something got said or whatever, and she was like, she got mad. I'm like, well, she said, well, I ain't going there. And she hung up. I was like, okay. I knew she was gonna call back, you know, later. And I knew, you know, if we go through that. But by the time she called back, I had made up my mind, I'm gonna go by myself. I'm gonna see what it's like to go by myself. Only had one ticket anyway. she'd have just went and stayed in the room, you know, and that'd have been cool with her. She didn't need to go to the game. You know, she'd have went down there, hung out, you know, did some Super Bowl festivity stuff. You know, maybe took the car, went back to the hotel, whatever, blah, 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 blah. You know, that'd have been cool with her. But by the time she called back, I was like, nope, I'm going by myself. I'm gonna go by myself. I remember that was the first time that I consciously did that. And I had one of the best times of my life. I had one of the best times of my life. But before I went, you know, I was talking to her, I was like, look, I'm gonna go by myself. We still cool. It's not that I hate you. It ain't like we breaking up. Not that we could break up, because we wasn't boyfriend, girlfriend anyway. You talk about an open relationship. It's about as wide open as it possibly could be, and it was beautiful because I really didn't care. There was no limit. I wasn't restrained by that. I really didn't care. It didn't bother me if she went that way or this way, you know, and I had the freedom to do what I wanted to do. And, you know, if so happened, we just happened to end up feeling the same way at the same time, you know, things might happen. But if it didn't, it didn't. If it did, it did. And she would cook and eat and just, you know, it was just good. It was just good understanding. She knew me. You know, she just knew what I thought, what to say. Not what to say, but, you know, where I was going with things. I could say one word and she'd understand what I meant. We just hit it off. And so I was like, okay, you know, I'm gonna go. You cool, you know, we stay in touch. It ain't like I'm gonna leave and not talk to you, you know, because we was on back. That was back with pagers and messengers or whatever communication we was doing back then. So we was like in constant communication, you know. So when I went by myself, and she ended up calling Mother Love and getting on the radio, telling Mother Love that her boyfriend, because we call her, it was easier for her just to call me her boyfriend than to explain what it was. Because her boyfriend went to the Super Bowl, left her, and you hear our Mother Love on the radio talking about it. So, you know, that's how cool it was. But the point is, I went, best time of my life. I had the best time ever. It was just like tremendous. And that's when I knew from then on, oh, I could do this myself. You know, I could pull this off myself. And that's when I started doing it. Started going there by myself, just being independent, free, comfortable being by myself, talking to anybody, talking to everybody. You know, somebody just standing by me, talking to myself out loud, just, you know, completely relaxed. Not then, but I eventually got to that. I eventually got to that. You know, obviously to the point to where now I can fly all around the world by myself and just be walking, talking, just talking about having a good time. But I remember when I went to Moscow, it wasn't like that. Moscow was a little bit leery. And as I remember, Moscow was still early in my international travels. So I really wasn't as relaxed and as confident as I am now, you know, flying abroad or doing this or doing that. And Moscow, you know, was scary anyway. Just from the stories and, you know, what I had to go through to get a visa and just all that. It's just, you know, it's Moscow, oh my God. You know, I'm gonna be like the only black person in the country, you know. So I was a little bit, you know, apprehensive, but so I didn't really like cut up then, but you know, I was kind of like looking around, you know, my eyes kind of wide open for that trip. But you know, my recent ones, I'm like, in Paris. Since I got to Paris, I'd run, drop my stuff off at the hotel. I couldn't even check in. Went right to a subway, went to the Eiffel Tower, talking to myself, just having a good time with myself. Yeah. That's when it all started with that Super Bowl. And ever since then, I really learned to be independent, and I just can't compromise. You know, sometimes you say, oh, if you can't go to, some people can't go to dinner. I remember I had a friend, another girlfriend, who couldn't go to dinner by themselves. Couldn't go to a restaurant by themselves and eat. That used to be a thing. Women, you know, didn't like or didn't want to go to a restaurant by themselves and eat. They felt weird or whatever. I was like, shit. You know, I don't know, not here. I mean, that's just nothing that's ever been a part of my makeup, so it was kind of hard for me to understand that. But yeah, but me, I was independent. And now I'm to the point where I can't compromise. And that probably goes back to where it's hard for me to split my loyalty. What's the encouragement? What's the word? My rooting? What's the word? My passion? What's the word when you like rooting for something? Like where I can't root for and against George Pickens. I don't want to put myself in that position. I don't want to be torn like that. So I'm playing against him. Every point he score is going to be like major against me, but I want him to score, you know. But you know, I'm not beyond saying, you know, get us down to the 1 yard line and then let somebody else score or whatever. You know, I don't want to do that. But even though I know the priority is for the Steelers to win, and you know, George Pickens, you score as many points as you possibly can. You know, fuck my fantasy team. And it's hard for me to say that. I can't even say that jokingly. That hurt just to say that. You know, but it's kind of the way I want it to be. Like, forget my fantasy desires. This is about the Steelers. George Pickens, you score all the touchdowns you want, baby. Well, unless we're like up like by like 20 and we don't need you to score. No sense in you getting a garbage touchdown, you know, but either way, I just don't want to root against them. I don't want to root against them. Yeah, you used to have my fantasy league, you know, back, that's why I quit. I couldn't, because I would have all Steelers on my team. And that's not how you do it. You got to go for the best players. And sometimes you got to root for players that you want to lose. And I guess that's tough for me. That's tough for me. That's tough. That is very tough for me. To where I gotta make a decision and say, all right, I'm always rooting against Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson ain't on my team. He's the best player in the league right now, fantasy and otherwise. He's the Pittsburgh Steelers arch rival, best team in the league, probably in our division, our number one rival. I'll never root for him. I don't think there's no case where I'm gonna root for him. So that's clear cut. I like that. I like that. I always want him to lose. So, but there's the cases where, like Joe Burrow, Cincinnati was playing Baltimore today, or somebody was playing Baltimore, where I wanted Cincinnati to win this game, you know, but I'd rather have, they're in our division too, and they're our rival too, but I would rather have Cincinnati beat Baltimore. So that was kind of clear cut. You know, that was kind of clear cut. I just don't like having to split my cheering, or whatever the word is, between entities. I don't want to have to make that decision. It might be compromise. I don't know. But whatever it is, I don't like doing it. So I try to refrain from it. And that's why one of the reasons why I stopped playing fantasy football, that and having to get up every Sunday morning to make sure my team was together, because these cats I was playing with back at Avacon, they was for real. They were sharks. These cats was for real. And they would clown you if you didn't have the right starting lineup, or if you forgot so-and-so, because they were guys. That's back. I don't think they got guys like that no more. They were men, guys, like just basic boys and men. You know, nothing fancy, just raw football, sandwiches, and beer. You know, that was back in the good old days. Like I said, when we started coming to my house, I was like, all right, y'all, let's do this in Vegas, you know, next year. And they say, yeah, okay. All right, now, when you come, you got to wear your team jersey, because we all had our team. So everybody started wearing their jersey, you know, and we got to have, so you got to wear your jersey. We had a flag, we played flag football. Glenn organized a flag football game. So I went out and I bought a real football, and I bought flags, and, you know, we were just guys, you know, just basic guys. Nothing fancy, nothing nice, just guys. And I remember we went to Vegas and had the draft and strings, Ray Trinidad, Rick Allen, Doug Sherman, Glenn Raposa, Eddie Corral. Who's the San Francisco cat? The dude for the 49er fan, I forget his name. Who else was there? I'm trying to remember everybody in the room. I said Ray Trinidad, Paul Carey. A dude named Yanto Hughes turned us on to this. He was one like the first real bookie that came into our sphere. And, you know, he really knew cats. He like really knew cats and stuff. And he turned me on to my first Steeler bar. It was Clancy's in Azusa. He said, yeah, you know about a Steeler bar? I was like, I don't know nothing about nothing, man. So yeah, he said, it's a Steeler bar where a whole bunch of people get together. He turned me on to that. I went there for a few years. You know, so all that came from Avacon. Yanto, and in fact, in our league, we had a Yanto league, Ray Trinidad, Ming Yu. We had a Yanto league and had a P-Funk league because we were, you know, kind of the first, we were the early original founders who moved on. Yeah, it was good. It was good. Anyway, swing on y'all 2 times. For me, for the Funk, for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and for never having to compromise anything. Never having to compromise. Go for it. And for every elementary particle that has ever existed in any atom, in this or any universe that ever was, will be, the totality of it all. What is this on my face? I gotta figure out what that is. I wanna get that off. It's been in it for too long. Now it's like oozing out and stuff. For any universe that ever was, is, or will be, the totality of it all, theory of universe. Hypothesis of all is one. My name is Jeffery.